I started the poultry farming in 1970 and we moved on up to 1979 when the government of Idi Amin Dada was toppled. That time the condition around our area here became unbearable. So I was forced to go to exile in Kenya, and by the time I came back, the whole project was destroyed. The houses were no more, no more equipment, no funds. It took me time to start again until around 1990. I started small. We have been growing slowly, not the way we used to do, because in the 70s, I had the capacity to bring about 5,000, 6,000 chicks at one go, which I don't have now.
Poultry farming is a very rewarding business and it can make a lot of business sense, but only if you have information. So today I'm here to speak to an expert who has been into poultry farming for, I think, even before I was born. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Please say hi to our viewers and tell us about yourself.
Hi, you, those outside there. My name is Abdalla Masum from Bombo Town Council, Luero District.
I'm this person and I want to start poultry farming. I have the passion, but I'm limited by the finances, and I really want to start poultry farming, and I'm willing to improvise on each and everything. So which number would you recommend me to start with?
For broilers, I would suggest you start with something like about 100.
Okay.
But there are musts in poultry which you must be in place. First and foremost, you must have a structure, a house.
Before we go there, so the number which makes business sense, like generally, if it's not broilers or the other types, it could be which number, especially if I'm on a budget?
It is a very delicate question.
Okay.
Because what you call small to somebody else might be almost nothing, and maybe what I call small, those I think are comparative figures.
Okay.
But for a beginner, the smaller you start, the better.
Okay.
Because you have to learn a lot. You continue learning in this business. You never stop learning.
True.
With the poultry, you must have money.
Okay.
Because there are things which are not compromised, like feed, for example.
Okay.
Or these are the issues, like we see the heating system here.
Okay.
We are using these infrared bulbs and charcoal stoves. With the infrared bulb, you can replace them with the charcoal stove. With the light, you can have our hurricane lamp, which can provide the light.
So, for the sake of our conversation, which number should we be talking about now?
For the broiler, start with 100.
With 100.
Yeah, with 100. You'll make some small money, but it's better than when you put in a lot of money when you have no knowledge about it.
Okay.
Yes.
So I have my 100 number, like for broilers. Why are you recommending me to start with broilers? Why not layers? Why not dual-purpose chickens? And why not locals? Why are you recommending me to start with the
broilers? They mature within a very short time.
Okay.
Within 7 to 8 weeks, you are selling. And if it is a small number, that means you can easily get a market and dispose them off. Okay. Because after 8 weeks, when you continue keeping them, they are going to eat into your little profit. And at the end of the day, maybe you even lose part of your capital. So it's better to start small.
Okay.
With these things like drinkers, you can improvise. You see us using these modern ones, but you can use old jerry cans.
That's where I think that's where we are heading. So now I'm taking your idea of starting with the broilers. The structure, like I mentioned, I want to do this on budget. How can I improvise on the structure?
You can even put a small structure at the backyard. A small one, not something as big as this one, because this one actually costs a lot of money. You put it at the back, like for example, something about 2, 3, 4 feet with the small gate. They can go in. You fence it maybe with a net. Daytime they can come and feed from outside. In the evening they move back to the patch. So you can do that. Improvise.
Okay, that's interesting. I know I'm improvising, but are there other basics I must know about the structure?
The size. For example, a broiler occupies 1 square foot up to maturity. So you must put that in mind. And then, of course, with the things like drinkers, feeders, they all have to go. Unless, if, as I said earlier, you construct a structure, but then maybe daytime they feed out. Because it's not a big number, you can manage. For example, daytime you can feed outside, and when there is no rain or what, sorry, but if there is rain, you move out. So that you don't have pressure.
Okay.
You don't have pressure.
Okay. Okay, now I have the structure in place and I know what I'm dealing with. Where do I source these chicks from?
There are several hatcheries now in the country, from small ones to big ones. When I talk of big ones, like Yuga Chick, Binzika, and then there's Cowjazz. These are the import. There's Hendrix. There are so many, and then there are small farmers who are also hatching now. So it's not any problem getting chicks.
Okay.
Even the government farm in Entebbe, but I hear that there it takes time.
Yeah, exactly. But even with these big hatcheries, that's the problem. That you can place in your order and it takes like a year without receiving an order.
But not all of them, because like this we placed within about 1 month we got the chicks. And I have a friend of mine who's in Buloba. He also has a hatchery, and we have placed our second order with him. And in fact, it's less than 3 weeks, but he's telling me that at the end of this month, we are getting the chicks.
Okay, that's interesting.
Don't you worry about getting the chicks. They are there. You can get them.
Okay. Let's talk about the equipment. I know you've hit on them a bit. Now let's talk about the equipment that we use during this business of poultry farming, starting with the brooding process, the equipment that I might require but on budget. What do you have to say about that?
For the brooding, like you see this brooder, we are using these infrared bulbs. In fact, here we had 4 of them. Okay. Because now, as they are growing, we are trying to reduce the heat.
Okay.
And these alone consume a lot of power, because each one is 200 watts.
What?
So the 4 of them were consuming that 1,000 watt. But you can have a small jiko, sigiri, small sigiri, and when there is no electricity, you can have our hurricane lamp. You can have it to provide light. You can make it.
Sure. Okay.
And then I'd say for the drinkers, you can have all the jerry cans and the improvise of them, and they can do, in fact, just as much as this can do.
I've seen some people putting these feeds on the trays, egg trays.
That is when they are still a few days old. From the first day, maybe to 3-4 days. Okay. So, in fact, at that time, you just lose it. You just spread it anyway or put it in the tray. So whether they put the poop on it,
no problem.
Okay. So you get them to know the feed, and once their sense will tell where there is feed. So
this is when you introduce this one.
Yes.
Okay. I know there is that thing called brooding paper. Is it really necessary, or I can substitute it with
you can substitute it with the old newspaper. You can substitute with the old newspaper.
Okay.
Because in fact, the brooding system is new in the market. It was not there before. So yeah, we are.
What did you used to do before?
We used to use the old newspaper, but now there's brooding paper. You put it. In fact, we had it here for 4 days.
And
we removed it because they are now used. They know now, they can differentiate now that this is not feed. This is
the purpose of the brooding paper is for them to learn that this is not
to learn
food.
the difference.
Oh, okay. I thought it's really important.
It's important.
Okay.
But if you cannot afford the brooding paper, you use old newspaper.
I understand. Okay, so these ones are expensive for someone who's beginning.
They're expensive.
One goes for like how much?
We bought them on wholesale. So I did not to sit down to what, but they're expensive.
Okay.
They're expensive. They're expensive.
Interesting. Let's move on to vaccination. Is there a way I can compromise on vaccination? Is it really important?
No. There is no shortcut either for that. You must vaccinate them. You must vaccinate them because if you don't and you get an outbreak of any disease, it becomes impossible to treat it. But maybe when they are vaccinated, you have better chance of treating the disease than when they are not.
Okay. Still, about medication of this chicken, besides vaccination, must I do other treatments? I mean, is it something I should be?
If they are sick, if they are not, then you don't have to. If you are sick, you have to. Just like human beings. Okay. When you are sick, you seek for medical solution. If you are not.
I heard that for layers you have to keep vaccinating all through.
Those
How about the broilers?
Booster vaccination. Vaccination.
Okay.
Broilers have a very short lifespan time. 7-8 weeks.
You're done.
You are done with them. So they don't have that rigid vaccination schedule.
Interesting. Let's talk about the feeding. Many people actually they are scared of starting poultry farming because of feeds. They are crazily very expensive. Someone like me who really wants to start something on budget, how do I manage the feeds and cut down the feeding costs?
You mix your own feed.
Okay.
You get the right formula. You buy the ingredients. You mix your feed.
Is
because
it less expensive?
for commercial feed, definitely it's expensive. Because they put also a lot of money to produce the feed.
Okay.
For example, for a commercial feed program, he may be as a laboratory to analyze the quality of the feed. But when you do it at home here, then you don't have to go through all that thing.
Okay.
You just have to buy the right ingredients, the right proportion from the sellers, and then you mix it yourself. You can manage.
Okay.
You can manage.
Okay, that's interesting.
Even at one stage, we also mix our feed. Yes, we shall. We started with commercial feed, but we shall mix our own feed because it is cheaper. You cut the cost.
So what do I need to do my own mixing of these feeds?
You can start from day one if you
day one?
Yes, you can. You can.
I thought that was so delicate that I don't have to tamper with it.
The formulas now are watched on internet. You just get it and mix it. Or even some of the producers themselves, they can tell you the formula. The buyers, you do this.
Okay, interesting. Okay, I'm done with the feeding. I can manage the market. I know you mentioned that they can easily go on the market. So how do I?
Market is a very interesting subject on any product. I remember one time I was doing rabbits, and then we had somebody, an expert from Kenya, who came to teach us about rabbits. So the question came about. So he challenged us. He said, "I want 1,000 rabbits right now."
What?
Anybody? There is nobody. So I think you create awareness from wherever you are. So maybe when people are leaving your village to go and look for cocoa somewhere, you say, no, I can provide it. I have it.
Okay. And someone was like, you can't do poultry farming alone. What do you have to say about that? Like you can't farm or you can't rear a chicken alone. How true is that statement?
You have to do something else.
I mean, you have to do it with other people in the business.
Yes, if you are going to do it, and then you do it. Because like companies like Beanzika, like Yuga Chick, I don't think they belong to one person. No, that was a group of people coming together, forming a company.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, interesting. So as we wind up our conversation, any last remarks as far as the poultry farming is concerned? Any recommendations that you think they're so helpful for someone who is just beginning with poultry farming?
Poultry farming is not a bad business, but like any other business, it has got its challenges.
Okay.
For example, during the COVID time, I had brought in layers, about 600. And when they started laying, at that Kenya refused to take our eggs because Kenya takes about 60% of our egg production. And when they refused, the price of eggs dropped drastically.
I remember.
And then the price of feed, because there was scarcity of maize, it rose. 1 kilo of maize, in fact, it came to about 1,900.
What?
We had to sell our birds at a loss just to save ourselves from getting
out of business.
out of business. So those challenges are there. And maybe also the problem with feed. When there is maize is one of the major ingredients. When there's plenty of maize,
you should stop.
The price drops. The price of feed drops automatically because the price of maize drops. At one time, I remember we are buying maize at 500
a kilo. Wow.
But now it is about 1,000. So that also is a challenge. You might bring in chicks today. You have calculated. You say, with this money, I can manage. Then all of a sudden, there's no maize. The price has gone up. Maybe it has doubled. So that means your budget, whether you want it or not,
has been encroached on. So you mentioned if it's that important, I mean the maize, how do you manage? Is there a way I can manage the maize issue? Maybe can I grow my own maize or can I stock?
If you have the capacity, you can grow your own maize. If you have the funds, you can buy. There are special bags which you can keep in grains and they don't go bad. So if you have that facility, you can buy. I think each bag is about 10,000. You can stock your maize. You can.
Okay. Another recommendation, another last remark?
We should not only look at exotic breed. Because even with our local birds, you can make business. For example, a tray of local birds, it is about 20,000. That means it's almost twice the price of this. But the problem is, we have taken it for granted that the local birds don't need attention. So, but you don't give it feed, you don't care whether they are sick, you don't care what. So that's the problem. You open the door in the morning, it will run after one grasshopper for 50 meters. And then, so at the end of the day, it does not even get enough. That's why the growth is retarded. But if you can also give it enough feed, then definitely you can make a change.
Okay.
Yes.
There's a confusion between local. There is another breed on market which they call dual purpose. There is
Croiler, there is Croiler, there is Rainbow, there is Sasso, there is Improvising from Kenya. They are also local. So those can produce meat as well as eggs.
Are they a good thing?
They are good. You can get a Croiler cock for weighing about 7 kg. They are good. They are good. But they are good if you also look after them. If you don't look after them, then you know the result.
Okay. All right. In other words, as we conclude our conversation, it's all about dedication and making sure you look after your chicken, whichever type you've chosen, properly. But however, from the conversation I've had with Mr. Masum, It's best if a beginner start with broilers because they make a lot of
The
businesses.
broilers.
Sorry, the broilers.
The broilers.
Excuse me. They make a lot of business sense. They take a short time,
and they're ready for market.
And they are ready for market, and of course they don't require a bigger space like the other ones, and if you compare it with others, but all in all, there are things you can't compromise on, things like feeding, things like vaccination. However small your capital is, please make sure you prepare for such things. You can only compromise on structures, but most of the things, actually, they are the same. No compromise. But anyway, on the later side, poultry farming is a rewarding venture. And I hope with this information, you are ready to start. I wish you luck.